Michelle Yeoh's Star Trek movie confirms Discovery is still a Starfleet secret. What happened to the USS Discovery is still a Starfleet secret in the 24th century, which is confirmed by Star Trek, Section 31. The present day of Star Trek, Section 31, is the 24th century, specifically Stardate 1292.4, which is April 17, 2324. Star Trek, Section 31 takes place 66 years after the end of Star Trek Discovery Season 2, which took place in 2258 when Commander Michael Burnham Sonequa Martin Green led the USS Discovery on a one-way trip to the 32nd century, with Emperor Philippa Georgiou Michelle Yeoh aboard. In Star Trek Discovery Season 3, the USS Discovery arrived in the year 3189 to a united federation of planets and galaxy broken by the burn. Meanwhile, Emperor Georgiou discovers she is dying from both crossing from Star Trek's mirror universe to the Prime Universe and time-traveling 930 years. The Guardian of Forever Paul Guilfoyle sent Georgiou back to a time when the Prime and Mirror universes were still aligned, thereby saving Philippa's life. Meanwhile, the truth about the USS Discovery remains redacted by Starfleet in Star Trek, Section 31. Star Trek, Section 31 confirms what happened to USS Discovery is still a Starfleet secret. After Star Trek, Section 31's flashback prologue to how young Philippa Georgiou Miku Martineau became the Terran Emperor, Control Jamie Lee Curtis delivers a mission briefing about Georgiou to Alok Sahar Omari Hardwick and his Section 31 Alpha team. Control says, in 2257, she was brought to our universe and joined Section 31, but after a few years, we lost contact. This indicates Starfleet and Section 31 did not know about Emperor Georgiou's round trip to the 32nd century with the USS Discovery. However, it's also possible Control does know about Georgiou's time travel, but did not disclose that information to Alok Sahar's Section 31 team. Starfleet's official cover story after the end of Star Trek Discovery Season 2 was that the USS Discovery was destroyed at the Battle of Zahia in 2258. Captain Christopher Pike Anson Mount and Lieutenant Spock Ethan Peck of the USS Enterprise maintained this fabrication in 2259 as seen in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and only the highest levels of Starfleet know the truth, but this could include Section 31's Control. Star Trek Section 31 doesn't acknowledge that Emperor Philippa Georgiou, who is confirmed to be human, should be decades older than she appears. Star Trek Discovery Seasons 1 and 2 took place from 2256 to 2258, and this was the last time Starfleet saw Georgiou. Philippa's reappearance in 2324 looking exactly how she looked 66 years prior goes unmentioned. Alok Sahar revealing to Georgiou that he's not of this time either is the only hint that Section 31 could be aware of the Emperor's time travel. Similarly, Star Trek Section 31's villain, San James Hiroyuki Liao, also looks younger than he should be. San and Georgiou were teenagers together in the early 23rd century when Philippa became Terran Emperor. San faked his death sometime before Star Trek Discovery Season 1 in the 2250s, but he emerged in 2324 without having aged in the subsequent 60-plus years. Star Trek Section 31 doesn't confirm if San time traveled. Like Emperor Georgiou's age and whereabouts between 2258 and 2324, these questions are hand-waved away amidst fight scenes and explosions. In a universe teeming with warp drives, temporal anomalies, and sentient nebulae, secrets are currency. And few secrets have been guarded as tightly or intriguingly as the existence of the USS Discovery. With Michelle Yeoh returning to the Star Trek universe in the highly anticipated Section 31 movie, one truth has now been made abundantly clear. Even in the far future, Discovery remains a classified enigma buried deep within Starfleet's most secure files. But what does it mean that the ship, its crew, and its unique spore drive remain whispers on the edge of myth? Yeoh's reprisal of her role as Emperor Philippa Georgiou, the former Terran Empress turned unlikely protector of the Federation, in a standalone film dedicated to the infamous Section 31 offers more than just another high-octane adventure. It confirms a quiet, chilling continuity. Despite the galaxy-changing events the Discovery and its crew have endured, their story has not entered public Starfleet history. And that's by design. When Star Trek Discovery first launched, it took fans into the rarely explored years just before the original Star Trek series. A bold reimagining, it blended classic Trek elements with the visual and narrative scope of modern science fiction. Yet the show's most daring move came in its second season, when the ship and its crew vanished, quite literally, from Starfleet records, flung almost a millennium into the future to protect an artificial intelligence from consuming all life. At the time, the show offered a convenient narrative solution. Starfleet deemed Discovery's mission and spore drive too dangerous for history books. The ship was stricken from official logs. Its crew declared missing. It was essentially a ghost vessel, an experiment lost to time. And now, through Georgiou's return, we know that veil of secrecy still holds. The Section 31 film, a darker, more espionage-flavored entry in the Star Trek canon, leans into the shadows where Discovery's fate has always resided. The organization, often described as the Federation's necessary evil, deals with threats too dangerous and delicate for standard Starfleet intervention. With Georgiou recruited into its ranks during a moment of timeline turbulence, her presence ties directly back to the ship, whose classified status still shapes the direction of covert operations. It begs the question, why? Why, after centuries, does Starfleet continue to erase Discovery from its official narrative? Is it only about the technology? The spore drive, a revolutionary means of instant travel across space using the mycelial network, would, in the wrong hands, destabilize the balance of power in the galaxy. But is that reason enough to redact an entire crew, to erase the heroic sacrifices of Michael Burnham and her shipmates? Perhaps there's something even deeper at play. The Discovery crew weren't just time travelers. They were temporal refugees, shaped by paradoxes and destiny, swept into futures they could barely comprehend. In a sense, they became living artifacts, pieces of a past that no longer fit the puzzle of the present. Their very existence raises ethical questions about Starfleet's mission, about the cost of progress, and the consequences of meddling with time. To acknowledge Discovery would be to acknowledge Starfleet's own capacity for erasure, for secrets, for failure. Michelle Yeoh's Georgiou was always a wild card in this moral equation. A mirror universe tyrant who found herself slowly embracing the values of a society she once mocked. Georgiou's arc in Discovery was one of redemption through contradiction. Her departure through a mysterious Guardian of Forever event left fans wondering where her path might lead. The new film offers that answer, right into the heart of darkness. Section 31 has always thrived in the gaps left behind by idealism. Where Starfleet dreams, Section 31 plans. Where captains argue ethics, agents act in shadows. Georgiou, with her ruthless pragmatism and fractured morality, fits perfectly in that mold. But her connection to Discovery makes her more than just another operative. She's a living reminder of a ship Starfleet buried. And that gives her power, the kind Section 31 finds both useful and dangerous. In the film's early scenes, references to the Discovery are subtle, slipped into coded language and sidelong glances. But for fans paying attention, it's unmistakable. The secrecy has endured. Even centuries after its jump into the future, Discovery remains a secret Starfleet can't afford to reveal. Somewhere in the folds of space, the ship continues its journey, cut off from its own time, but alive in the hearts of those who remember. And while most of the galaxy believes it to be myth, a select few, like Georgiou, carry its memory as both weapon and warning. The movie doesn't offer all the answers. Nor should it. Star Trek thrives on mystery as much as science. But by confirming Discovery's status as a classified legend, it opens the door to future stories, perhaps ones where the veil finally lifts. Could we one day see a reckoning? A future in which Starfleet must confront its buried past?